I'm Patricia Rawlinson, and this is my Joy is the Key to Life project. And as you can see by the size of my hand, this is a ginormous key. It's not ginormous, it's about 29 inches long. We've got keys in other sizes. This is just a regular kind of skeleton key embellishment, and then this is 19 inches long. So we've got them where you could paint them just all in one color and use them as architectural accents to things. You can hang them sideways and put knobs across. You can hang them long ways and have them be art. This one right here, I'm going to put just a little hanging wire right there, and I'll hang it on my front door. I've added some jingle bells, and we've done a whole bunch of fun stuff with our pattern stencils. This is a set of 6x6 stencils that comes with you can see my taped up mess here. Comes with a little hole in the side so you can put them all on one wheel, so you have all your pattern stencils together and collected. Big advancement, I think. I had a lot of fun with the patterns. I used a lot of stencils with this. I used stencils for the words, stencils for this, the holly, the candy canes, the checks, the stars, the confetti. I used it for everything. It was a fast, quick project. If you do craft shows, I think that this would be a very big smash hit. So I hope you enjoy the project, and we'll see you the next time. Alright, recently we've fallen in love with keys. I love the look of the ornate keys that you can hang on your wall and make them just be kind of architectural. But then we decided that maybe we needed to go ahead and create a little painting space by taking out some of that detail, so you could actually paint a little moment right there, or a monogram or whatever. So we've got these medium-sized keys. You can see by the scale of my hand, these are about 19 inches. But then we went crazy. We also have ornament size. We have a bunch of these on the website. So you can add these as embellishments to projects. You could put spacers and make them handles. You could tie a couple together and create a little bouquet. Really kind of sweet. Then we've got these larger size ones, and then we've gone ahead and made some ones that have basic cutout shapes. So there's a rectangle, a square, a star, oval, circle, that kind of thing. So you will have a lot of choices to make in our key department. We've recently come up with a series of 6x6 pattern stencils. The pattern stencils are great for those areas that you want to have repeat patterns going on. We've got animal print and stars and dots and structured dots and loose dots and random dots and confetti and diamonds and checks and all the things. So you're going to be fully ready to do everything that you ever wanted to do with any kind of pattern. But watch what we have next. So see, what we've done now is we've made a little hole in the corner of the stencil so that you can keep everything on one like little key fob. So you'll have all your pattern making stencils. We've got candy cane patterns, big dots, little checks, big checks, different kinds of stars, funky stars, you name it, we've got it. We've been at this going strong. So, but this is a way to keep everything organized, and you can keep it all stored in one place. And you just open it, you can take it off its little thing. This guy just unwinds. Oops. You can actually punch a hole in your existing stencils if you don't have, if you have other stencils you'd like to try this with. The little fasteners are available on our website, and then you could make a wheel, a stencil wheel out of any kind of stencils, and you could make themed ones. So you could have geometric patterns, you could have animal patterns, you could have you know, scrolls, Christmas, whatever kinds of things like that. So this is a really great way to organize. It's a great set of the all the different patterns in a size that's kind of usable. We don't tend to paint like really big, so we don't need 12 by 12 stencils to give us stars when we can do it with just a little one. Okay, we're going to paint one of our large keys, and what's neat about this is I'm going to be able to put a cluster of greenery on here, hang it on my door just like a banner, so it's kind of like a key banner. I'm going to mix some multi-purpose sealer in with my lamp black for my sealing coat, and then I'll just seal the backside. And you can also, as long as you pay attention to your edges and don't get them messy, you could flip this around and paint Easter or some other season on the other side. So it could be multi-sided, a reversible surface. So when you want to get a nice clean edge, what you'll do is you'll come out away, you brush your paint away towards your edge, and that way you get it nice and clean. I'm going to brush this on, but I'm going to sponge this on, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Okay, I'm going to put on a nitrile glove, which is a latex-free glove, and I'm going to use my mushroom sponge. The mushroom sponge is a really cool concept. You can, if you have a finial or something like that, you can cinch that in and just wipe your paint on. So if you're painting furniture or chairs, that kind of thing, it's awesome. But in this case, where we're painting something with all of this cutout detail and stuff, what I'm going to do is pat into my sealer and then pat into my base coat. And then I'm just going to go ahead and either wipe or stipple it on. Okay? So that way I'm not going to get a bunch of oozy paint going over the edges and dripping. Cleanup is a snap. You're just going to take it as soon as you're done with it. And you don't want to let this get dry and crusty or you'll ruin the sponge. Oh, and by the way, it's reversible. And because it's nice and tall, it does keep your hand out of the paint. But your cleanup is just going to be plain water and just squish it underneath running water. All right, in order to make sure that my word goes on straight, I'm going to use an L square. And I want to just kind of cinch this up next to my edge. Oops. Except for I'm going to have to do it this way. I want my word to be nice and level. I use my Ghost Writer, which it erases with spit water varnish eraser. And it has three little twist functions. This has got a white ceramic lead, gray ceramic lead, and a rollerball tracing tool, a padded grip, and it has an eraser on the back, perfect for erasing. So if I just lick right there, you can see it just erases right away. Okay, for my lettering, I'm going to use a big dome brush. I'm going to pounce over here, and then I'm going to pounce off on my paper towel. Okay, and that's going to give me nice, even lettering. I'm going to make sure I start kind of in the middle with soft pressure, and then I can increase my pressure. And I never want to aim at the edges of my stencil. Okay, I'd rather do 2 thin coats than try to get it all glumped on in one and have a big old mess. Okay, and I'll work through the rest of the letters. You can tape that on so that it stays. Okay, I'm going to make good use of my masking tape, and I'm going to take, this is my stretchy tape, but I'm not going to use it as stretchy tape today. Okay, I think I'm going to make this middle band be checked. Okay, and see how that sits in there. Oh yeah, we'll almost get a couple complete rows. Okay, and we'll go into our white, and we will stencil our checks. I've never painted checks easier than this, I guarantee that. Okay, and once again, I'm probably going to go ahead and tape that on there so that I can get my second coat. I'll just go ahead and keep the tape on the stencils so that when I move it down, it won't, I can just have it be pre-taped, if you will. We'll go into our next coat on the top of our key. This should be the final coat. Okay, this is my first, where we're at right now, and so look how cool that looks on the little finials there. So then we'll come down here, and I'm going to repeat a row of my checks as well, and then we'll go into the middle. That's some random dots. Okay, and we'll just turn this sideways, and got one that didn't pop out. Turn it sideways, and we'll end up with a nice pattern of random dots. And then we can move it around, and let's get it a little bit more random. There we go. Then we can spread it around and create that. And you know what? We're just going to learn from. If I'd finish a thought here, sorry about that. Okay, so we'll spread it around. After it dries, we'll move the stencil around, and we'll give a couple other dots. You'll need to do 2 coats of each, though, just for good coverage. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and fill in our little dots. Okay, I've got stencils laying everywhere. Okay, I've got a holly stencil that I'm going to use with Hauser medium green. We're going to do some detailing on this, and notice that I've taped off the element that's right next to it. And that way I don't make a mess. Okay, we'll let that dry and we'll come back to our white dots. Alright, I'm taping off the big section right here, and I'm making these gold. We're going to do them first with cocoa, and then we're going to repeat with traditional raw sienna. Okay, I'm going to let that dry. Okay, we're going to work on our holly. So we're going to take Hauser Light Green, rub it all off on a paper towel, and then we're going to just highlight where the leaves will divide up and kind of make a little hump there. And we'll shade afterwards, which will kind of act like a glaze. Okay, and I'll repeat on the other side. Okay, then we'll repeat with some olive green, which really packs a little punch, so be gentle with it. I'm going to take my Hauser Light, and I'm going to highlight the tips of these hollies. I'm using a short bright, which is going to allow me to have really super fine control. Okay, repeat on the other side. Alright, now we're going to go with a really fine shade of, I'm going to try Black Forest Green first. I usually use Evergreen, but this has got a kind of a more vibrant look to it. So we'll see how this looks. Okay, so far, I don't know how I feel about this. I think it might be a little too bright. Yeah, I think we got to go back to the old Evergreen. All right, so we'll close in just a little bit here. Get into some of our Evergreen, and we'll shade up near the top, like it's coming out of a cluster. And see how that starts to sink in just a little bit. And I'm using very, 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 very dry paint. And I can shade right on my black where it's separating things from the berries. And my berries will become red momentarily. And you'll just shade to separate. And then I'll shade my center veins as well. Oops. If you use the brush on too chiseled of an edge, it will just make a line. Now we'll repeat with just a little touch of black green in the darkest areas, right where it's cinching up into the center. Okay, and that gives it just a nice rounded depth. And I'm going to grab my Easy Dot tool and see what size dots my berries need to be. I think they're going to be a number 3 on the big tool. We'll use Country Red. And the thing about the Easy Dot tool is you can take this out and you have all your sizes in one little set instead of trying to fish through, oh, what size is this brush? Oh, maybe. and all that kind of stuff, because you never know, like a big old fat brush might have a skinny little end on it. So these are just a little bit easier if you need consistency. And we'll just make nice big juicy sized hollies or berries. And I think I'll drop down a size so they're not all the same. And I'll repeat on the other side and then blow dry. Okay, holly is shiny, so holly gets a little bit of a sparkle. So we're going to go ahead and give, let's mix olive green with white. Don't want it too white and I don't want it too green. So let's give it just a little shine mark on some of the holly. Okay, and that just gives it that glisten and glint. Make sure you're putting it on a highlight. Okay, yeah, I like that. That just adds a little sparkly. Alright, we are going to highlight our joy letters, staying out of our wet dots. Okay, so maybe we'll go ahead and just flip this guy over so I'm not tempted to run through my dots. Okay, we're going to mix some coral blush with country red. Dry it off. And then right up the middle of our letters, and I think I'm going to need maybe just coral blush. Right up the middle of the letters. Oops. It's going to give us just a little bit of highlight. Using a crescent brush. And if I make a mistake like I just did, base coat paint is your friend. So always save some if you've made a mix or something like that. I got real dusty right here on this edge, so I'll just go in and just base that right out. And it won't be, it'll be like it wasn't even there anymore. And maybe we'll get that a little bit of stuff to here. Okay, one more time. We don't want it to get too light, but we definitely want to see some contrast. I also would wait to patch anything until the very end. Okay, and now we're going to take our flat brush, change our little position here, and go into Napa and float upwards. We'll walk it up. Okay, so we'll get it cinched in there and then we'll start walking it up our letters. Try and do them the same amount of walking up so we have a good line across. Okay, I'm really fighting with my big juicy dots, so I'm going to pull out my acrylic bridge. It is a clear acrylic bridge. It's got two little ends on it that are high enough to go over a project, and now I'm not going to accidentally get my hand in the muck. It is an invaluable little tool when you need to keep your hands out of the muck. Okay, the opposite way. It also offers the advantage of giving you just a little bit more height, and which gives you more control, believe it or not. You actually, it's one of those things that until you see it and try it, you don't believe. Okay, so I got that done. I'm going to repeat on my, the red on the shaft. I'm going to repeat these steps on there, and I'll highlight first and then I'll shade the edges and bring it in a little bit. Alright, I've got the coral shell color, and I'm going to make little hash marks, getting skinnier and skinnier, up and down the middle of my letters. Looks kind of pretty. long ones, or wide ones I should say, in the middle, and then they stack and stagger smaller. And just accents a little longer. Yeah, that looks really pretty. We're going to use that same coral color, and we're going to go right on, just kind of gently on that line right next to the letter, but let it fade to the dark red at the bottom. So we're just doing it in the middle and bringing that attention to the center. Okay, and that just gives it a really nice 3D effect. Oh, I almost did it. I almost got my dot. Okay, back on the bridge with me. That almost would have been a big mess to clean up. Repeat the shading on the shaft decorations with a little bit of soft black. That just deepens them up, gives them a little bit more depth. Okay, we're going to do our gold in the, I'm going to use the jumbo dauber and do our gold with cocoa, this filigree stuff right here, and get it base coated, and then we'll go over the top of it with the traditional raw sienna. Okay. And then I've changed my mind on the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and do some candy cane stripes. I've been playing with this area, so we'll see where we end up. Alright, we're going to dry rub the shaft of the key with a big old dome brush and dry rubbed paint. And that will eliminate the floating that you would normally have to do for floats and things like that. So we'll just build a lovely highlight. Straight up the middle. I'll let that dry for a second and repeat. Okay, and then we'll go with a nice streaky, strong dry rub of the white. Okay, get that brush in the water and let that dry, and I think I'm going to need to possibly make my checks here into bleached sand checks. I think they're just a little bit screaming, so we'll just go ahead and make them bleach sand instead. Okay, so we're going to get our stripes on there. Do a couple coats of, oh, I should have shaded. Well, I'll shade after. First things first, right? This is going to be country red. Okay, we're going to take some Paynes gray and shade ever so lightly. Lock it in just a teeny touch. Don't get too excited. We'll do that on each of the stripes. You want it kind of faint. Okay, we're going to dry rub on our stripes. With our coral blush color. Do the same exact thing that we did right here. It's just a little repeat. Keep our highlights up the center. And then we'll repeat with the coral shell. And we'll shade with our Napa Red on the red stripes and lock it in just a little bit. And we'll repeat that with soft black. All right, then we'll take our white color, thin it just a little bit, and I'm going to need my bridge because I'm still wet. And let's go ahead and give this a shine. I'm trying to decide if I want it right down the middle or on the edge. Okay, maybe not quite so jaggly. Okay, that's good. Alright, I'm going to put a candy cane border on the top of my key. And so what I want to do is see about how much candy cane-ish I want. This is a really valuable little tool. It's flexible, so it'll go around corners. It's center zeroing, or it'll go one direction or the other direction, counting up and down. It's gridded out so that you can see, and that means I can lay my grid line on there on the edge and make sure that it's perfectly even. Use my tool, my Ghostwriter, to mark it, and then I'll tape it with my stretchy tape. Okay, I'm going to add a little stenciled candle in my O. So just center that. And I'll put a little teeny piece of tape. I love using stencils because I don't have to trace. I don't like tracing because then I don't have to trace the pattern and trace the thing, you know. Just makes it so much easier. Okay, so we're going to just go ahead and stencil the candle with bleach sand. And I think one coat's going to do it. And then we're going to need some yellow for its little, looking for the right kind of tool here. We'll do a little bit of the cocoa. And then we'll highlight that. Oh yeah, I think that's going to look really lovely. And then I think we need to add this bow at the bottom. And part of me wants that to be a red bow, and part of me wants that to be a green bow. So I think we're going to make it a red bow, and we're going to see what we think. Take some of my masking away here. Oops, and I've got my brush in two colors. Well, there we go. Happens to all of us, doesn't it? Let's take a little peek. Yeah, I think the red bow would be cute. Okay, I'll leave that there for just a minute and work on getting a second coat. Alright, we're going to get some of our candy cane stuff going on our trim. So we're just going to go ahead and dry rub. Okay, a little easier if I'd left the stinking tape on. So I'll put the tape back on. Much easier, I don't want to make a big mess. So we'll just dry rub along the whole thing exactly like we did on the base. Alright, there's a skinny area. If you ended up getting it too blue, just streak back in your bleach sand highlights, and that'll fix it. Never be afraid to add a step if it's just going to kind of reverse things for you. Make them go in the right direction. Okay, ready for some stripes. Okay, we're going to use the same stripe stencil if I can find it. Ooh, maybe that's too big. Okay, we got it all shaded, and we're going to add some shine. Around our edges. Alright, we need to do some shading on our bow. Actually, let's go ahead and do our highlighting first. It almost always works out better if you do your highlighting first. So we'll go ahead and just give it shape following. Lines will go right through our stencil stuff. And if you want to trace this and do this the old-fashioned way, that's perfectly fine. There are many ways to do things. Okay, get that highlighted, then highlight again with the, can't remember the name, coral shell. And we'll go through and give it a little shade. Okay, and where this is coming out from behind, oh, we've got to blend that float. That's not floating at all, that's just chunked up paint. Where that's coming behind the letter, we'll go with some soft black. Just to disconnect the two of them. And then we can bring a little soft black into our shading here. And then we'll take our, let's see, what color? Let's go ahead and highlight our candle with bleached sand. And we can go ahead, let's see, and we'll give it and we can also kind of streak down the middle. And we need some yellow for a glow. I think I'm going to have to pull in mustard seed, and we'll see what we can use that for to carry the color around. Okay, so we'll make that glow. And then we'll also go ahead and dry rub with that color. Actually, why don't we start with the raw sienna. I can't decide, does this need to come out of that or can't decide. We'll see. And then we'll go in and give it just a little bit stronger shine, since I think I basically wiped it all away. Okay, we're going to dry rub some mustard seed, whoops, too strong, on our gold, in between the areas where it's going to follow a pattern. So the raised bits. Okay, we'll go ahead and do the little shaft area too, and pretend like it's just round or something. And then we'll continue up on the top. Alright, I'm going to mix a little bit of dark chocolate with my traditional raw sienna, and I'm going to do the areas that are, in my mind, indented, and just give them a kind of a base coat wash with that darker color to make them appear like they're sunk in, like carved, kind of. we'll go ahead and just do that. Even though I highlighted it, we'll go over this area over here. Yeah, so that gives it a little bit more kind of detail. I like that. All right, we're going to take our sticky mesh and we're going to mix cocoa and mustard seed and a touch of bleach sand. I'll dry it all off on our paper towel. And then just on the highlighted areas, we're going to give it a little punch of something going on. It needs like some kind of detail, but I feel like if I made strokes or something like that, it would just be too much focal, too much rigidity. So we'll just give it just a little bit of texture and hope that that answers the call here. I think I like it. Looks pretty good. Okay, we're going to take milk chocolate. I've gone ahead and rebased my the filigree stuff with antique maroon. I didn't care for the gold. So I'm going to take milk chocolate and I'm going to just highlight the general area with a dry rub. And I think I'm going to have to switch to a dome brush. Sometimes the crescents are just too skinny. This is a pretty big area. Okay, my goal is to kind of make it appear to be a dark gold. Okay, and we'll come up here and we'll treat the fleur-de-lis as kind of a separate item. And give each of its elements just a little bit of and we'll go on to the same thing with the filigree over here. Repeat. And then we'll repeat down here too. I want to put some words down here, so I don't think I want this to get too filigree looking. Keep your yellows out of your candy cane. Okay, then we'll go into milk chocolate. Flip over and try and find a dry spot. Now we'll switch back to the crescent brush because I want to get kind of in the middle as if this is dimensional. Okay, and then down here, get the big brush. And we'll go over here and just tickle some of that on the edge. brown and do some dry brushing. Okay, and I'm going to repeat with just a little bit of mustard seed on my brush. Just to tint everybody just a little bit gold. Maybe we'll go through with our magic mesh. Maybe with a little bit of mustard seed plus the bleached, nope, it's Khaki Tan. Give us a little bit of texture. I'm adding a little bit of honey brown with mustard seed and water. I'm adding a little bit of lined detail. Just to kind of say, yeah, here we are. We'll do the same thing here. Alright, I use my stencil and I'm going to use honey brown to stencil my words. Then I'm going to mix in some mustard seed and just kind of stipple right across the middles. I'm going to take that off. And we'll add some drop shading with soft black. Then to soft black. And that helps make it pop. Okay, now we'll go ahead and we'll highlight up the middle with mustard seed plus Khaki Tan. And then maybe into bleached sand, just a little bit. Right in the middle. I'm going to repeat on this little nub down here, the same thing that I did on the filigree area up above. just in the center, and then I'll give it a little bit of lining treatment. And then I'm pretty sure I'm going to do this one in the gold as well, and it'll be the same exact technique with a little bit of the sticky mesh. Okay, we're going to go ahead with our highlighting. I'm going to use Hauser medium green, then go to light green, and then to olive green. And we'll probably go ahead and shade once. After we get this, I'm kind of dragging it a little bit towards the edge. I'm using a ginormous brush. I could just kind of transfer down. Okay, then into Hauser Light. And then into a little bit of olive. Okay, we're going to add just a little bit of confetti with olive green, keeping it out of your red area. So I want to make sure I don't go in there. So nice to have a stencil for this. Yeah, that just adds just a little bit of fun and zip. Okay, I'm going to put my Harlequin stencil here, and I'm going to tape the lower stencils and the upper stencils. I just want to band the Harlequin across the top. I'm going to go into honey brown. A little bit softer on the edges. And then honey brown plus mustard seed. And then plus a little bit of the khaki. Okay, let's take a look at that. No, I don't think I care for that. So just take some water, paper towel, and it's removed. Okay, so not such a good idea. All right, we're going to go with bleach sand. And I've lost my paper towel. Bleach sand and do some polka dots on the lower black area there. Just going to kind of make them soft to start with and see what I think of them. You don't have to do them all as they stand. You can certainly move your stencil around a little bit. We'll go into a little bit of white. Let's take a peek and see if we, yeah, that's kind of fun. Turn them up. Go in with a little bit of white on one side or the other to give them a little bit of depth. Okay, and then we'll come over here and lay this over there and do the same steps. Increase with a little bit of white. This is where I need 3 hands. And then we could go back with just a couple of extra. Okay, I'm making a little strand of bells. I've got bells in all different sizes here. A big one at the top, and then I loop it around my brush. Then I thread on the next one, just twist it, and then loop, and then loop. And then you can, I'm going to make some cascading down the other side as well.